Did you see the post on Facebook?
No.
Comment not applicable.
Do you want to say who this guy is?
I don't really know who he is.
Some like 60-year-old woman bought him when he was young, and she lured other kids into the house to be friends with him by copious amounts of food and snacks.
Have we ever
That's
talked?
who he is. So, well, we were in 9th grade is when we were introduced to him, correct?
Yeah. He used to chug chocolate milk laterally.
Right. So, in 9th grade, after he was done deep throating chocolate milk, he got bumped up 2 grades or something. So he advanced a couple grades.
Because he was homeschooled, so everybody figured he was genius and bumped him up.
But again, when you're homeschooled, what else do you have to do? You've got no friends.
He never even mastered chocolate milk 101.
You got nothing.
So he got bumped up a few grades, which was a terrible mistake because he just did not fit in any way, shape, or form. Thought he was the shit. And everybody just despised him in every way, shape, and form. The only friend that he had was the other Asperger's riddled person in our grade.
Right.
And I really didn't have much interaction with him after 9th grade. It really kind of, we cut the ties early on.
Well,
that we weren't going to be talking.
a couple
Made all the fun there
I don't
was
think
to
you
make.
ever talked to him to begin with.
No, there was some back and forth. Do you remember the story after the watershed cleanup in the waders?
No.
You don't remember that?
No.
So we had science class. It was like physical science or some bullshit with our teacher McQuillan. We go to the watershed to clean things up, and we had to wear these waders, these big rubber waders. So he's wearing them, and we get back to the school with like these 5-gallon buckets that we have in our hand. And at one point, he has 2 5-gallon buckets, and he stumbles, and he trips, and he falls. And me being myself in 9th grade, I just start pointing and laughing hysterically, really loud. And he gets so pissed he doesn't know what to do. He just goes, both fingers up, and it made me laugh even harder. And that was my memory of him. That's kind of seared in my mind, that one memory of him falling to the ground in waders.
What a lovely
everywhere.
memory.
I thought he was gonna
What a
spill-
Christmas memory.
He
Yeah.
was going to spill the buckets into his waders.
Yeah.
And then had to sit in whatever was in the buckets.
He's
It was old porcelain toilet and stuff.
besides maybe Meredith the White, I don't know anyone who's a more enthusiastic LARPer.
Like serious LARPer?
Oh yeah, serious business, like profile picture level.
Like Meredith
dear.
abandoned all the rest of her friends for LARPing.
You might find a little bit of that in tonight's pageant.
Uh-oh.
So just stay tuned.
She gave up on all her non-German friends that don't LARP.
What a sad
weird to
Christmas thing.
It's a higher
Does she have
level.
another LARPing party on the 23rd this year, John? Will she not be attending?
No, she's supposed to attend this year, so we're looking
Wow.
forward to her lack
first
of
appearance in 3 years.
You want to explain? I don't think I've actually been told the German LARPing story. I just know she LARPs with Germans. That's all I know.
There's a higher level of autism in Germany. Really a higher level. It's a much
I'll buy that.
more. It's a much wealthier society, and so there's a bigger.
They have extra time and money to spend on
More
LARPing.
on the
Bread.
autistic.
Like Meredith.
Yeah.
Yeah, more inbred.
So all I know is when Meredith and I started, Meredith and I both had a love for EverQuest 1. We let it die, both of us. I started to pick it back up again, and I'm like, I need to drag somebody else down with me. So I reached out to Meredith, let her know, hey, there's this server that goes on, an independent server that about 1,000 people play on to kind of relive the glory days. So she slowly gets back into it. Then she starts to become obsessed. I get phone calls when she worked 11 to 7, 11 o'clock at night to 7 in the morning. I got phone calls like on her way home at like 6:37 in the morning being like, I'm going to be logging in soon. Would not stop like chatting my ear off about EverQuest 1. Mind you, this is 2011. The game came out in 1997. Enough.
Enough are.
I gave up on a long. Like I got to like level 40. She was level 60 with nonstop playing, raiding, everything. Couldn't get it out of her mind. It got to the point where after I quit, she made friends of the guy who started the server, which was some guy in Massachusetts, a German man.
Yeah.
And apparently she started to go see him. And this is where it got.
Was there a romance blossoming?
Well, this is where it got sticky. I wanted to know if she was banging him, but I didn't really hear much if she was having sex with him or just eating food in his bed. And I think it just got to the latter part of it. Never to the intercourse.
Wow.
Maybe anal, but never intercourse.
They also call that a-hole.
They call it cankles.
Did you go cankle a-hole? Cankle
My
the
cankle
a-hole.
job?
Kangled. Oh.
You want a C job?
Oh.
Oh.
You want a white fleshy cankle job? Would you just stick it in between both cankles at that point?
Yeah,
to make like
I
a
think so.
obviously.
The more
No,
can-
it's
a little
like
bit of loop so it
it's like
slides
titty
easily.
fucking, you know, it's exactly the same. It's just
There is a
cankles
cleft.
instead.
Yeah, there is a
Cankle.
cleft if you got a cankle.
Oh.
And I imagine as she gets older, varicose veins will add some texture to it. Ribbed.
Oh.
Or ribs texture.
For your pleasure.
I would say the more cankly, the better to fuck.
This is not a happy Christmas memory.
You're upsetting the people in this room.
Everybody's left the camera.
Pretty much. It's emptying.
I imagine the other side of the room has like a small seating of young children.
Alan posted some stupid Zelda thing on Keith's wall that just doesn't make any sense as usual with Keith and Alan posts.
They're flirting.
And so Matthew Gifford
One of those
chimed
two
in.
gonna get together. Who here is shipping those two?
You took
So
gas.
Matt Gifford chimed in, of course. Then starts going on about something. And so I write on there, James Henry was a steel driving man. He writes, like, 10 minutes later, he writes, error, reference not recognized.
Really?
Oh my
So,
god.
mind you,
And so I posted this picture if you can see it.
he used to do this.
What the fuck is that?
Wow.
Can I see?
It's John.
So he used to do this.
Okay.
He used to do this thing with his hands where he'd make one fist and then put the other open palm over the other fist and just move his fingers in a rhythm
Mr. Burns.
really fast. And that's what he would do, along with carrying one bag in one hand and walking like back perfectly straight in the hall and like at like a power walk pace past everybody. Do you remember this?
I do. The thing is,
Gliding down the hallway.
there's something about
It was very majestic. It was almost like he was floating.
there's something about autistic kids where they have a few patterns like this,
They
like
have a grace to them.
An elegance.
a dancer's grace. They all they aspire to a higher level of language. For one thing, everything's indeed and affirmative and
Well, I think
Keith
they
used those
learn the
words for quite a few
formalizations
years.
and they never break from them.
her brother is autistic, big time.
I have an autistic brother. Yeah.
Is he the one that's obsessed with Mrs. Doubtfire?
No, that's
No,
the
that's
normal
the
way.
Oh.
Imagine.
That's a healthy human.
Now I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, Max was supposed to call in today. I didn't follow up with him.
Oh yeah, no, her autistic brother is pretty funny actually. I visited them in Texas and he was interacting with her kids and he was like, "Don't fall. You don't want to get an ouchie or an oopsie or a boo boo or all three."
Where's my Kool-Aid?
Oh my.
Did anybody
You know that? Does he still live with your parents?
My little brother lives with my dad.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Did
I
anybody
know where the story is going.
The
Check in with me in 20 years.
He's got gout. Yeah. But he drinks a lot of Kool-Aid.
I got the gout.
I know how the story ends.
A small vine.
In Fall River.
Aww.